Question 1. Which of the following best describes the primary ethical responsibility of an adjuster when dealing with a claim? A. To maximize the settlement amount for the insured, regardless of the policy limitations. B. To act impartially and investigate the claim thoroughly, considering both the insured's and insurer's interests. C. To prioritize the insurer's interests above all others, ensuring that costs are minimized. D. To settle claims quickly to enhance personal reputation and improve future business prospects. Answer. B. Explanation. The primary ethical responsibility of an adjuster is to act impartially and investigate the claim thoroughly, ensuring fairness to both the insured and the insurer. This aligns with the responsibilities outlined in New Hampshire's insurance regulations, which mandate that adjusters conduct investigations in good faith and with due diligence. The Fair Claims Practices Act emphasizes that adjusters must not engage in practices that are misleading or harmful to the insured. Options and deprioritize the interests of one party over ethical conduct, while option C misrepresents the adjuster's duty to balance interests. Question 2. Mr. Thompson has filed a claim for damages to his home due to a storm. During your investigation, you discover that he had not maintained his roof properly, which contributed to the extent of the damage. What should you do next? A. Deny the claim outright, since the damage was partially due to lack of maintenance. B. Advise Mr. Thompson to file a maintenance claim with his contractor. C. Assess the claim to determine the proportion of damage attributable to the storm versus lack of maintenance and adjust accordingly. D. Suggest that Mr. Thompson improve his home maintenance practices before resubmitting the claim. Answer. C. Explanation. In this scenario, the adjuster should assess the claim to determine the proportion of the damage attributable to the storm versus that which resulted from lack of maintenance. This approach is consistent with the claims evaluation principles outlined in New Hampshire's adjusting standards, which require a fair and objective assessment of all relevant factors influencing a claim. A complete denial of the claim, option A, without proper analysis, would not adhere to ethical standards, and advising him to file a maintenance claim, option B, or improve his practices, option D, does not address the immediate issue of the insurance claim. Thus, determining the appropriate allocation of damages ensures that Mr. Thompson is treated fairly according to his policy's terms. Question 3. In the context of New Hampshire's regulatory framework, what is the significance of the Unfair Trade Practices Statute for adjusters? A. It provides a guideline for adjusters on how to maximize claim settlements. B. It outlines the consequences for adjusters who fail to settle claims within a specified time frame. C. It prohibits deceptive practices and requires transparency in the claims handling process. D. It ensures that adjusters can be penalized for advising policyholders against pursuing legitimate claims. Answer. C. Explanation. The Unfair Trade Practices Statute is significant for adjusters because it prohibits deceptive practices and requires transparency in the claims handling process. This law aims to protect consumers from unethical conduct and ensure that claims are processed fairly and honestly. Under New Hampshire law, adjusters must communicate clearly with policyholders and cannot misrepresent facts about the policy or coverage. Option incorrectly suggests a focus on maximizing settlements, which contradicts ethical guidelines. Option B misinterprets the statute's purpose, as it does not primarily concern timing but the nature of the practices. Option D is incorrect because it does not address the core intent of the statute, which is to prevent misrepresentation and ensure fair treatment of policyholders. Question 4. When evaluating a property claim, which of the following is most critical for determining whether coverage applies under a homeowner's policy? A. The personal history of the insured regarding previous claims. B. The specific terms, conditions, and exclusions outlined in the policy document. C. The general market trends affecting property values in the area. D. The adjuster's personal judgment on the severity of the damage. Answer. B. Explanation. The specific terms, conditions, and exclusions outlined in the policy document are critical in determining whether coverage applies under a homeowner's policy. Adjusters must interpret the policy language accurately and assess whether the cause of loss falls within covered perils. This process is guided by the principles of contract law, which dictate that insurance contracts are binding agreements and both parties must adhere to the terms. Option A may provide context but does not influence coverage directly. Option C is irrelevant as market trends do not dictate policy coverage. Option D reflects a subjective approach which is contrary to the objective evaluation required in insurance claims processing. Question 5. Which of the following practices would be considered a violation of the Fair Claims Practices Act in New Hampshire? A. Promptly acknowledging a claim and beginning the investigation within 14 days. B. Failing to communicate with the insured for over 30 days after the claim is filed. C. Issuing a payment check to the insured within 10 days of reaching a settlement. D. Providing a written explanation of claim denial within a reasonable time frame. Answer: B. Explanation. Failing to communicate with the insured for over 30 days after the claim is filed constitutes a violation of the Fair Claims Practices Act in New Hampshire. This law requires timely and transparent communication regarding claim status and decisions. Options A, C, and D all reflect compliant practices under the Act, emphasizing the importance of efficiency and clarity in the claims handling process. Adjusters must ensure that they adhere to statutory requirements to avoid disciplinary actions and protect consumer rights. Question 6. Mr. Davis is a public adjuster representing a homeowner in a claim for flood damage. During the investigation, Mr. Davis discovers that the homeowner had previously made a fraudulent claim. What should Mr. Davis do in this situation? A. Ignore the fraudulent claim and focus on the current damage assessment. B. Report the fraudulent claim to the insurance company and advise the homeowner of potential consequences. C. Advise the homeowner to withdraw the current claim to avoid further scrutiny. D. Attempt to settle the current claim quickly to avoid detection of the previous fraud. Answer: B. Explanation. Mr. Davis, as a public adjuster, has an ethical obligation to report any discovered fraud to the insurance company and advise the homeowner of the potential consequences. Under New Hampshire regulations, adjusters must uphold integrity and transparency in their practices, and failing to disclose fraudulent activity could result in legal repercussions for both the adjuster and the homeowner. Option is unethical, as ignoring fraud perpetuates dishonest practices. Option C does not resolve the issue ethically, and Option D is actively encouraging unethical behavior, which is against the core principles of the adjuster's role. Question 7. In the event of a total loss for a vehicle under personal auto policy PAP, which of the following factors is most likely to determine the payout amount? A. The insured's original purchase price of the vehicle. B. The market value of the vehicle at the time of loss minus any applicable deductibles. C. The cost of repairs for similar vehicles in the area. D. The adjuster's estimation of the vehicle's condition before the loss. Answer: B. Explanation. The market value of the vehicle at the time of loss, minus any applicable deductibles, is the primary factor determining the payout amount in the case of a total loss under a personal auto policy. Insurers typically use current market data and valuation guides to assess the vehicle's worth, ensuring that the payout reflects fair compensation based on actual cash value principles. Option A is misleading, as the original purchase price may not represent current value. Option C, while relevant for partial losses, does not apply in total loss situations. Option D reflects subjective judgment, which should not drive the claims evaluation process. Question 8. What role do expert witnesses typically play in the claims process according to New Hampshire insurance practices? A. They conduct the initial investigation of the claim on behalf of the insurer. B. They provide specialized knowledge to support or dispute the claims presented. C. They represent the interests of the insured during negotiations. D. They ensure that all claims are settled in a timely manner. Answer: B. Explanation. Expert witnesses provide specialized knowledge to support or dispute the claims presented in the claims process. They may offer insights into complex issues such as damage assessments, valuation disputes, or liability determinations that require technical expertise. Their testimony can be crucial in resolving disputes and ensuring that claims are evaluated accurately based on professional standards. Option: A misrepresents the function of expert witnesses, as they do not conduct investigations but rather evaluate findings. Option C is incorrect, as their role is not to represent either party directly. Option D is unrelated to their primary function, which is to provide expert analysis. Question 9. In the context of adjusting standards, which of the following best describes the importance of continuing education for adjusters in New Hampshire? A. It is only necessary for those pursuing public adjuster licenses, not for company adjusters. B. It helps adjusters stay updated on industry trends, regulatory changes, and best practices. C. It is primarily a requirement for renewing licenses without impacting day-to-day responsibilities. D. It allows adjusters to charge higher fees based on their advanced knowledge. Answer: B. Explanation. Continuing education is crucial for adjusters as it helps them stay updated on industry trends, regulatory changes, and best practices. This ongoing education is mandated by the New Hampshire Department of Insurance and ensures that adjusters maintain their competence and professionalism in a constantly evolving field. Option is incorrect because all adjusters, regardless of their type, are required to participate in continuing education. Option C underestimates the significance of education in enhancing an adjuster's effectiveness and knowledge. Option D misrepresents the purpose of education, which is to improve service quality rather than to increase fees based on credentials. Question 10. Which of the following best describes the ethical obligations of an adjuster when dealing with a claim that involves a potential conflict of interest? A. The adjuster must prioritize the interests of the insurer above all else. B. The adjuster should disclose the conflict to all relevant parties and recuse themselves from the claim if necessary. C. The adjuster can handle the claim as long as they are transparent about the conflict with their employer. D. The adjuster should proceed with the claim but ensure they document their actions thoroughly. Answer: B. Explanation. Adjusters have an ethical obligation to disclose any potential conflict of interest to all relevant parties involved in the claim. If a conflict exists, the adjuster should recuse themselves from handling the claim to maintain impartiality and uphold the integrity of the claims process. This practice aligns with the National Association of Insurance Commissioners (NAIC) guidelines, which emphasize ethical standards in the insurance industry. Option A contradicts ethical obligations. Option C is insufficient, as mere transparency does not mitigate the conflict. Option D is inadequate since documentation alone does not resolve the ethical issue. Question 11. When determining the appropriate valuation method for a commercial property claim, which factor is most significant in establishing the property's worth? A. The replacement cost of the property as outlined in the insurance policy. B. The historical appreciation of property values in the area over the past decade. C. The income generated by the property prior to the loss. D. The current market value based on comparable properties in the vicinity. Answer: D. Explanation. The current market value based on comparable properties in the vicinity is the most significant factor in establishing the worth of a commercial property for a claim. Adjusters typically assess the value using market data and comparables to ensure a fair and accurate valuation. Option A, while relevant, does not account for fluctuations in market conditions. Option B, focusing on historical trends, may not reflect current market realities. Option C relates to income potential, which is important but secondary to market value in most property valuations. Question 12. Which of the following statements accurately reflects the responsibilities of an adjuster during the initial contact with an insured? A. The adjuster should inform the insured that their claim is likely to be denied. B. The adjuster must provide an overview of the claims process and gather initial information regarding the loss. C. The adjuster should focus solely on assessing damages without engaging with the insured. D. The adjuster is required to offer immediate compensation for damages assessed during the first contact. Answer: B. Explanation. During the initial contact with an insured, the adjuster must provide an overview of the claims process and gather initial information regarding the loss. This engagement is essential for establishing rapport and ensuring the insured understands the next steps. It is a critical part of the claims process that aligns with best practices in customer service. Option A is inappropriate as it undermines the claims process. Option C is too narrow and ignores the importance of communication. Option D misrepresents the adjuster's role, as compensation is not typically offered until after full assessment. Question 13. What is the primary purpose of the New Hampshire Department of Insurance in regulating adjusters? A. To promote the interests of insurance companies over consumers. B. To ensure that adjusters adhere to ethical practices and legal standards while protecting consumer rights. C. To create profit-driven incentives for adjusters to settle claims quickly. D. To limit the number of adjusters operating in the state to reduce competition. Answer: B. Explanation. The primary purpose of the New Hampshire Department of Insurance in regulating adjusters is to ensure that they adhere to ethical practices and legal standards while protecting consumer rights. The department oversees licensing, compliance, and disciplinary actions to maintain the integrity of the insurance industry. Option is incorrect as the department aims to balance interests. Option C misrepresents the role of regulators, which is not to incentivize rapid settlements at the cost of fairness. Option D is inaccurate as regulation seeks to maintain a fair marketplace rather than limit competition. Question 14. In a liability insurance claim, which of the following is typically NOT a factor that would determine the insurer's obligation to defend the insured? A. The allegations in the underlying complaint. B. The insured's previous claims history. C. The potential for coverage under the policy terms. D. The jurisdiction where the claim is filed. Answer. B. Explanation. The insured's previous claims history is typically NOT a factor that determines the insurer's obligation to defend the insured in a liability insurance claim. The obligation to defend is generally based on the allegations in the underlying complaint and whether there is a potential for coverage under the policy terms irrespective of the insured's past claims. Option A and C are critical for establishing the duty to defend. Option D can influence the interpretation of policy language, but the history of claims does not directly impact the obligation to defend. Question 15. If an adjuster determines that a claim is fraudulent, what is their required course of action according to New Hampshire regulations? A. Process the claim, but note the potential fraud for future reference. B. Notify the insured that the claim is denied and provide no further information. C. Report the suspected fraud to the appropriate authorities and document their findings. D. Attempt to settle the claim for a reduced amount to avoid further investigation. Answer. C. Explanation. If an adjuster determines that a claim is fraudulent, they are required to report the suspected fraud to the appropriate authorities and document their findings. This action aligns with ethical standards and legal requirements aimed at combating fraud within the insurance industry. Option is inadequate as processing a claim suspected of fraud violates regulations. Option B fails to comply with reporting obligations, and option D is unethical and contrary to the duty of care an adjuster must uphold. Question 16. During the claims investigation process, what is the significance of using technology such as drones and cameras? A. They eliminate the need for personal inspections of the lost site. B. They provide visual documentation that can enhance the accuracy of the claims assessment. C. They allow adjusters to conduct investigations without the involvement of the insured. D. They are primarily used for marketing purposes rather than claims evaluation. Answer. B. Explanation. The significance of using technology such as drones and cameras during the claims investigation process is that they provide visual documentation that can enhance the accuracy of the claims assessment. These tools help adjusters capture comprehensive evidence and data, improving the quality and reliability of the investigation. Option is misleading, as personal inspections are still essential for context. Option C is incorrect. Adjusters must engage with the insured throughout the process. Option D misrepresents the purpose of these technologies, which are valuable for claims evaluation, not merely marketing. Question 17. Mr. Thompson is reviewing a commercial general liability policy for his client. Which of the following would typically be excluded under this type of policy? A. Bodily injury resulting from an automobile accident during business operations. B. Property damage caused by the insured's defective product. C. Personal injury claims arising from advertising activities. D. Injuries occurring on the insured's premises due to slip and fall incidents. Answer. B. Explanation. Property damage caused by the insured's defective product is typically excluded under a commercial general liability policy, as these policies often have specific exclusions for products and completed operations. This exclusion is designed to prevent claims related to inherent risks associated with the insured's products. Option A may be covered if the policy includes coverage for vehicle operations. Option C is generally covered under personal injury provisions. Option D typically falls under the coverage of general liability policies. Question 18. Which of the following is an essential step in the claims resolution process after determining liability? A. Immediately issuing payment to the insured without further assessment. B. Conducting a thorough review of all documentation and negotiations before settling. C. Declining the claim based on initial findings. D. Avoiding communication with the insured until the final decision is made. Answer. B. Explanation. Conducting a thorough review of all documentation and negotiations before selling is an essential step in the claims resolution process after determining liability. This ensures that all relevant factors are considered and that the settlement is fair and justified based on the findings. Option A is premature and may lead to disputes. Option C is not an appropriate resolution once liability is established, and option D undermines the importance of transparent communication with the insured throughout the process. Question 19. Which of the following statements about the consumer protections under New Hampshire's Fair Claims Practices Act is true? A. Insurers can deny a claim without providing any explanation to the insured. B. The Act requires insurers to handle claims in a fair and timely manner, providing clear communication with the insured. C. The Act applies only to personal insurance policies and not commercial ones. D. Insurers are not obligated to keep records of their claims handling processes under the Act. Answer: B. Explanation. The Fair Claims Practices Act requires insurers to handle claims in a fair and timely manner while providing clear communication with the insured. This law is designed to protect consumer rights and ensure that claims are processed responsibly. Option A is false, as insurers must provide reasons for claim denials. Option C is incorrect, as the Act applies to both personal and commercial insurance policies. Option D is also incorrect because insurers are required to maintain accurate records of their claims handling processes under the Fair Claims Practices Act. This record-keeping requirement is essential for accountability, allowing regulatory authorities to review claims handling practices and ensure compliance with consumer protection standards. The Act emphasizes transparency, timely communication, and fairness in claims processing, thereby safeguarding the rights of policyholders. Question 20. Which of the following best describes the role of an independent adjuster in New Hampshire? A. An independent adjuster works exclusively for one insurance company, handling claims only for the company's clients. B. An independent adjuster represents the insured directly and negotiates on their behalf. C. An independent adjuster works on a contractual basis, handling claims for multiple insurance companies without being employed by any single one. D. An independent adjuster is responsible only for investigating fraud within claims. Answer: C. Explanation. An independent adjuster operates on a contractual basis and often handles claims for various insurance companies, providing flexibility for insurers who may not have full-time adjusters. Option: It describes a company adjuster, not an independent one. Option B describes a public adjuster who represents the insured, not the insurer. Option D is inaccurate, as independent adjusters handle a wide range of claims tasks, not solely fraud investigations. Question 21. Under New Hampshire law, when must an adjuster respond to an insured's inquiry about the status of their claim? A. Within 24 hours of receiving the inquiry. B. Within 5 business days. C. Immediately on the same day. D. Within a reasonable time as specified by the insurer. Answer: B. Explanation. New Hampshire's insurance regulations mandate that adjusters must respond to inquiries about claim statuses within 5 business days, ensuring prompt communication and transparency. Option is incorrect, as it is too strict a requirement, and option C is also incorrect, as immediate response is not required. Option D is vague and does not align with specific regulatory timelines established for consumer protection. Question 22. When assessing damages in a property claim under a homeowner's insurance policy, which of the following is a key factor that adjusters must consider? A. The value of personal property only. B. The replacement cost or actual cash value, depending on policy terms. C. The depreciated value only, regardless of policy type. D. The market value of the home at the time of claim. Answer: B. Explanation. Adjusters must refer to the policy terms to determine whether the claim is evaluated based on replacement cost or actual cash value. ACV replacement cost covers repair or replacement without depreciation, while ACV considers depreciation. Options: and C. Ignore the broader coverage scope. Option D. The market value typically does not apply in property claims since it fluctuates independently of the actual damage cost. Question 23. Scenario: Jamie, an adjuster, is handling a claim where a homeowner reported significant water damage due to a burst pipe. The homeowner's policy includes an exclusion for gradual water damage. Jamie suspects the pipe had been leaking for weeks before bursting. What should Jamie do next? A. Deny the claim immediately, as water damage is excluded under the policy. B. Approve the claim without further investigation, assuming it was accidental. C. Investigate further to determine if the damage is gradual or sudden before making a decision. D. Recommend a partial payment for any visible repairs. Answer: C. Explanation. Jamie should investigate further to determine whether the water damage was gradual or sudden. A policy exclusion for gradual water damage could impact coverage if the leak was ongoing. Immediate denial, option A, is inappropriate without a thorough assessment. Approving the claim, option B, would be premature, and partial payment, option D, would not align with policy requirements if coverage is entirely excluded. Question 24. Ways required under New Hampshire's privacy regulations for insurance adjusters handling sensitive information. A. Adjusters can share information without restrictions as long as it's job related. B. Adjusters must obtain written consent from the insured before disclosing sensitive information to third parties. C. The adjusters should only discuss claim details with parties directly involved in the claim process. D. Privacy regulations do not apply to independent adjusters. Answer. B. Explanation. New Hampshire privacy regulations mandate that adjusters obtain written consent before sharing sensitive information with third parties, ensuring policyholder privacy and regulatory compliance. Option is incorrect due to a lack of restrictions. Option C is partially correct but does not cover all legal requirements. Option D is incorrect as privacy regulations apply to all adjusters handling personal data. Question 25. Which of the following statements about liability coverage in a commercial general liability CGL policy is accurate? A. Liability coverage under a CGL policy is only for damages to the policyholder's own property. B. CGL policies primarily cover bodily injury and property damage liability to third parties. C. CGL policies only cover liability arising from automobile use. D. Liability coverage under a CGL policy does not include product liability claims. Answer. B. Explanation. Commercial general liability CGL policies provide coverage for bodily injury and property damage liability incurred by third parties. This includes incidents on business premises or due to business operations. Option is incorrect as CGL coverage does not pertain to the policyholder's own property. Option C is inaccurate because automobile liability is generally covered by separate auto insurance. Option D is incorrect as product liability is a standard component of CGL coverage. Question 26. What should an adjuster do if they discover evidence of potential fraud during a claim investigation in New Hampshire? A. Approve the claim and disregard any fraud suspicions. B. Conduct a thorough investigation independently, ignoring any legal protocols. C. Report the findings to the insurer and follow fraud reporting protocols as required by New Hampshire law. D. Immediately deny the claim without further action. Answer. C. Explanation. If an adjuster finds evidence of potential fraud, they should report this to the insurer and adhere to New Hampshire's fraud reporting protocols. Option A is incorrect as ignoring fraud violates ethical and legal obligations. Option B is inappropriate as New Hampshire has specific procedures for fraud investigations. Option D is too extreme without following proper investigative procedures. Question 27. In New Hampshire, which of the following actions by an adjuster could be considered an unfair claims practice? A. Promptly notifying the insured of claim denial reasons. B. Providing detailed estimates to repair damages. C. Requiring unnecessary documentation to delay the claims process. D. Following up with the insured regularly. Answer. C. Explanation. Requiring excessive or unnecessary documentation solely to delay the claims process is an example of an unfair claims practice and violates New Hampshire's Fair Claims Practices Act. Option is required to ensure transparency. Option B helps the insured understand repair costs, and option D is appropriate for maintaining communication and accountability. Question 28. Under New Hampshire law, what is the primary role of the Department of Insurance in overseeing adjusters? A. The department conducts claim investigations on behalf of insurers. B. The department sets and enforces standards for adjuster licensing, ethics, and conduct. C. The department exclusively focuses on approving insurance policy rates. D. The department handles only consumer complaints without overseeing licensing. Answer. B. Explanation. The New Hampshire Department of Insurance is responsible for setting and enforcing licensing standards, ethics, and conduct for adjusters. Option A is incorrect because claim investigations are conducted by insurers and their adjusters. Option C is inaccurate as rate approval is only part of the department's responsibilities. Option D overlooks the department's regulatory authority over licensing. Question 29. If an insured in New Hampshire disputes a claim settlement offered by their insurer, what option might they pursue to resolve the issue? A. Accept the offer under protest without any further action. B. File an appeal with the New Hampshire Department of Insurance. C. Contact an independent adjuster to process the same claim. D. Pay the claim settlement out of pocket and seek reimbursement later. Answer. B. Explanation. If an insured disputes a claim settlement, they may file an appeal with the New Hampshire Department of Insurance, which will review the insurer's claims handling practices. Option A does not initiate any resolution process. Option C is inappropriate because the claim cannot be reassigned without the insurer's consent. Option D would not address the dispute effectively. Question 30 scenario. Laura, an adjuster, is handling a claim for a commercial property damaged by fire. The policyholder provided proof of a previous repair that did not meet fire safety codes, potentially contributing to the damage. What should Laura prioritize in evaluating this claim? They approve the claim immediately as fire damage is generally covered. B. Assess whether the fire safety violation affects coverage, consulting policy exclusions. C. Deny the claim immediately as the violation invalidates all coverage. D. Only evaluate the damage cost without considering the fire safety violation. Answer. B. Explanation. Laura should assess how the violation of fire safety codes may affect coverage, as policies may exclude damage caused by non-compliance with safety standards. Option A is incorrect as the fire safety issue needs investigation. Option C is too severe without full evaluation. Option D would ignore policy terms related to compliance and exclusions.